come out here. You see what USA Today did. Everybody picked the Eagles to win the division, and here are my Cowboys.
I tried to warn you. Go ahead.
I knew it was going to come. Look, Skip, the Eagles have built a very nice roster. But you know, in today's game, you can't build a roster good enough if your quarterback is not consistent and good enough. And this is where I give the Cowboys the advantage, because I still believe Dak Prescott, with all of his issues and deficiencies, I still believe he's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. And until Jalen Hurts show me that he can consistently and accurately throw the football, I'm not going to believe in him. He's 26th last year in completion percentage, only ahead of Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and 3 rookies. In the playoff game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he was 5 of 21 on throws of 10 yards or more down the field. That is not good enough to win the division, even that poor division, because I believe Dak Prescott can throw better than Jalen Hurts. And look, Skip, it's very fortunate for the Cowboys and unfortunate for everybody else that they're in a bad division. This is why they're normally one and done once they get to the playoffs. And Jerry can do all this, the Bible, and we need to be in the playoffs and yada, yada, yada. You've been 30 years, almost 30 years. You're coming up on 27 years since you last won a Super Bowl. When was the last time the Cowboys were viable in the playoffs? Viable in the playoffs, Skip, you got to get to at least one championship game in 27 years. You got to get past, that's it. Just do that. Forget the Super Bowl. Bible, I said, you know what? Hey, Skip, no 27 years. Y'all did make it to 5, 6 NFC championship game. Hey, the better team just won. You haven't done that. So basically, for the Lions' share, you've been one and done. At least a couple of times you've gotten to the division, and then you laid an egg once you got to the divisional round. But I just want to know. We've all read the story about the boy crying wolf. He cried. And when the wolf finally did show up, nobody believed him. How many times are we going to allow Jerry Jones, Cowboy Nation, how many times are you going to allow Jerry Jones to cry wolf and tell you, oh, we Bible, oh, this is the team? And then, Steven, I agree with Jerry. I think this is a good team. We got a good team right here. Stop. You're in a bad division. And as long as you're in that bad division, you got Dak is the best quarterback. And normally what happens, the best quarterback, more times than not, occasionally things happen, but more times than not, when you're the best quarterback in a division, you normally win that division, because that's what the game has evolved to, even more so than in the past. At least you could have a defense and it could carry you past someone that had a great quarterback. No longer is that true. So for me, Skip, I don't believe it. I believe the Cowboys will win this division. And I look at the 2 games against the Eagles last year. The Cowboys scored 41 and 51 points.
Okay, but the second game was against the practice squad. It was the silliest exhibition of a game I've ever watched.
Okay, you know what, Skip? I'm going to cross that one off.
Thank you.
51 points. They scored, that didn't count.
Remember,
they scored 41 points in the game that they played just started.
The franchise record for touchdown passes in a game against the practice squad.
But they did score 41 in a meaningful game.
They did. Earlier in the year.
Yes.
The Eagles did make the playoffs last year with a big closing rush. Just for the.
I gave you that, and I watched them against Tampa. Did you see that game?
I did, but I loved Tampa because I thought Tampa was going to win it all.
I did not.
Okay. Look, I hear what you said. I love what you said. I hope with all my heart and soul you are correct. But I fear, as usual, you are dead wrong about this one, because I fear Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are going to win this division. Now back to my guy, Jerry Jones, my owner, my face of the franchise, my heartbeat of the Dallas Cowboys, the voice of the Dallas Cowboys.
You would have it no other way.
He is the star of the Dallas. He's way bigger than Dak. He's way bigger than Zeke. He's even bigger than 11 from heaven. He is Gerald Wayne Jones Jr. He has 2 radio shows a week.
And you wanted Tom Brady in that. You wanted Tom. Jerry, go get Tom.
I did. Well,
Tom would lose his mind, and you know it.
Then he had to pay $75 million to Dak just for last year. I don't know. Pie in the sky. Okay. Best case scenario. Okay, now, I do have a pretty good feel for Jerry Jones. I did spend a ton of time around him in Dallas as I wrote 3 books about the Dallas Cowboys. I thought Jerry Jones spoke loudly yesterday if you listen closely. And for once, I don't believe he was crying wolf. I believe he was saying uncle. Do you know that phrase?
Yeah, he give up.
Because when you say uncle, you just give up. I thought this was a give up opening press conference by Gerald Wayne Jones Jr. He said, well, I need to win it, meaning he's approaching his 80th birthday.
Right.
But he says, I'll be candid with you. There's degrees here. Now, you have to translate Jerry speak. There's degrees. I want to be fair to everybody concerned. What he's saying is, I'm not going to put the pressure on them because I didn't do squat to make them better in the offseason. They have $20 million left under the cap. And as Stephen Jones said yesterday, we kept our powder dry. We got $20 million. They have earmarked it to pay CD, to pay others who are going to come due, Micah and others. And in case something comes along at trade deadline or whatever, if they want to make some move, seeing how they open the season.
Right.
But they did next to nothing to get better. Am I right?
Correct.
We agree on that one. So Jerry goes only so far as to say, we just need to be viable in the postseason. What does that mean? What in the name of Roger Staubach does that mean? Viable? Does it mean win one playoff game? I think that's all I got is to win the home playoff game if you win the division.
No,
right?
I think, Skip, I think viable. I think he wants to go deeper. I think deeper. I think viable at least to the championship game.
But this was a give-up session because then he admits, he said, we had it teed up pretty good last year, and in my mind, we made a hell of a run at it. He's talking about last year when he was Super Bowl, here we come, right? Mm-hmm. We got disappointed, but we made a run at it. He says that's all I have to go on, but at least we did win 12 games last year, so I have some hope. He says, I'm not going to discount the 12 wins, so I still believe we have a chance. And Jerry, the reporters correctly jumped in and asked, what makes you think you have a better chance this year? This man's sitting right here beside me. Please drop the mic, McCarthy. Is all you got to give us is he's been here now 3 years, so he's only getting better and better. We can win a Super Bowl with this man sitting right here beside me. Why is that, Jerry? Help me out, because he's your biggest problem to me. But Jerry loves him some Mike. This isn't like father-son like Jason Garrett. This is brother-brother. Right. This is Mike. He loves to hang out with Mike and socialize with Mike. They're two of a kind. Mainly, he loves to pull the puppet strings on Mike because Mike will do his bidding, do whatever he says. He's comfortable with Mike McCarthy.
I agree.
I'm not. Dan Quinn should be not just the coordinator. He should be the head coach. We got to see him one fateful Thursday night at New Orleans when Mike McCarthy had COVID and had to stay back in the hotel in Dallas, and Dan Quinn put his cap on backwards.
Well, see, that's where he lost the job right there.
No, he did. That was the end of him. But he put his cap on backwards, and he's butt-slapping everybody up and down, and there's actually some energy on the sideline, and I'm excited watching.
I agree.
I want to, suit up. I want to pad up and go out and thump somebody because Dan Quinn brought a little vitality to my sideline that has been missing with old dead-headed Mike just standing there like a bump on a log, looking up at the scoreboard like, I don't know, should I challenge that?
But I don't have it. I've already used my challenges, so I don't have any more.
I blew the last challenge, so maybe I shouldn't. Okay, so in the end, I think Jerry is virtually conceding to you that we're not what we were a year ago. Right. And I don't think he's doing it like playing possum. I don't think he's trying to bamboozle you. We're going to talk later about he says he bamboozled the league out of Dan Quinn. Baloney, you did. And Dan Quinn should be offended by that because I think Dan Quinn was right in the running for the Chicago job and your Broncos job. I think he was one of the last left standing in both places. And now Jerry's taking credit for, I was playing poker with them, and I convinced them that he was going to be my coach, and they didn't want to get a bidding war with me, Jerry Jones. You know, I don't think that was going on.
But you don't get into no bidding war because you think guys are just happy to have the job at the Cowboys. You don't feel you have to get into a bidding war.
That's a fact.
But Skip, the problem is that I have with Jerry, he says he wants to be fair to everybody. No, you want to be fair to yourself because you added no considerable pieces that would give you a more advantageous situation, put you in a more advantageous situation to be viable in the playoffs. So you want to be fair to you. You're not trying to be fair to anybody else because only you could have done some of the things. Give Von Miller, well, I'm not saying you had to give him the money that Buffalo gave him, but he definitely wasn't going to take no step. He wasn't going to take the Randy Gregory deal coming off the playoffs that he had just had. Considering that he still seemed like he got juice in the tank, he wasn't going to take pennies on the dollar, Jerry. So being fair, Jerry's like, I want to be fair to myself because I know I didn't really add any pieces that's going to make us any more viable in the playoffs than what we've been in the last 27 years.
Okay. I got it. Nothing happened. They're not better than they were.
They're not.
I was okay with giving up Amari even for what they got, a fifth back.
Yeah.
It's some addition by subtraction.
But you heard what he said, though, Skip, about Amari. He said availability. He said accountability and availability.
I know.
He was. I told you. I said Jerry Jones was upset that Amari didn't get that vaccine.
Okay, I got it. But he also did not go out of his way to replace Amari with another Amari. Is there another Amari? Is it Jalen Tolbert? Jerry was making the case. We got Micah last year. Micah had impact as a rookie. Maybe it could happen again. What are the odds that you drafted another Micah Parsons? Do you think it's Tyler Smith? Do you think it's Jalen Tolbert?
No, Micah Parsons was the unanimous defensive rookie of the year. I don't think Jalen Tolbert is going to be the unanimous offensive rookie of the year.
I hope he is, but I sincerely doubt he's not. Okay, so now I'm looking at USA Today. Nate Davis, and I respect this immensely here, and it didn't shock me at all that he makes the case for the Eagles going 11-6 and winning the division by one game over my Dallas Cowboys. And his logic is that Jalen Hurts spearheads what became the league's #1 ground game in 2021. It did. They led the league in rushing. He now has A.J. Brown to anchor. The receiving core is fronted by a standout offensive line. It's better than the Cowboys.
Yeah,
just
I agree.
Side to side, it's just better. We're aging, and we got two spots that are below average to me, and I'm being nice about that. And he's backed by a solid defense, and I'll give you that. It's solid. It's not spectacular, but it's solid. Not to mention playing in what seems like the relatively weaker conference, which brings me to the Eagles' schedule. I got to tell you, just in overall win-loss records from last year, Dallas is tied with Washington for the easiest schedule in the NFL this year, just off last year's one loss.
Okay.
The Eagles are just a tick behind. But when I look at the Eagles' schedule, I got to tell you, their schedule's easier than Dallas's. Dallas has to open with Tampa and Cincinnati. And the last time I checked, Cincinnati did make it to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
And I believe Tampa will make it this year.
Oh, Tom throws for 500.
Okay, well, he just well might.